Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Napoleon, and today we're back with another Enlisted episode. This time we're going to be doing part 2 of Axis Berlin non-premiums, and like with Axis non-premiums part 1, Axis Berlin non-premiums part 1, of course. If there's not a lot of information, I'm either just inclined to skip, as like you saw with my last episode, because for some cases, we either already done this unit before in part 1, so therefore we will just be skipping it, or in the case that we haven't done it and there's not enough information, I'll just be telling you there's not enough information for this unit, and we'll be moving on. With that said, let's get started with the video. Next we have the 20th Artillery Regiment of the 20th Panzergrenadier Division. The 20th Infantry Division was formed on the 1st of October 1934 in Hamburg under the code name Reichswehrschlachtgeschwader Hamburg. The Infantry Division IR was formed in the 6th Infantry Division of the 2nd Reichswehr Division. The division was motorized in the end of 1937. In October of 1938, she took part in occupations to Datenland. She began war with the invasion of Poland in 1941 she was involved in the Operation Barbarossa with the capture of Brest-Litovsk. From the 22nd of June to the 10th of July of 1941, she took part in operations in Bialystok, Minsk, and in July of 1941, she was sent to the northern sector in the Eastern Front. She fought Soviet units on the Duksa River in the direction of Vitebsk. On July 11 to August 18, she fought in the Battle of Smolensk. She was then assigned to Army Group North. During the advance on Leningrad, the 20th Infantry Division motorized operated south of Lake Latuga, which was to eliminate Soviet bridgeheads in Alexkos Bryansk and to capture K Castle. From September 1941 to July of 1942, the division was deployed in the Kudov area in the Volstop position. In winter of 1941-1942, she fought in the Vinskin. In July of 1943, it was renamed the 20th Panzergrenadier Division. In 1943, the 20th Panzergrenadier Division fought at Kiev and the Dnieper against the advancing Russian army. In spring of 1944, the division was trapped in the so-called Huba corridor at the Kamiansk-Podilsk pocket, but was able to free itself again and retreat towards Levhetsk, Klamadorna, and on the bow. In 1945, the 20th Panzergrenadier Division involved in the battles of Vistula and retreated towards Lostedia, Nesia, Stadik, Obruk. Later, she took part in the battles of Berlin and Potsdam. On May 5th, 1945, she surrendered to the U.S. Army in Tagmod. That's it for the 20th Panzergrenadier Division. Next, we have the 712th Fusilier Battalion of the 712th Infantry Division. The 712th Infantry Division was raised in early 1941 as part of the 15th wave or draft of Wehrmacht forces, which was moved to occupy France along the decommission line with Vichy, France. In September of 1942, it was moved to the Low Countries, where it occupied the region around Zoeburg. In June of 1944, the division was reorganized into the 89th Army Corps at a section of Army Group B's 15th Army in order to counter the Allied invasion of France. The 89th Corps was stationed along the Belgian coast. At the time, it was ordered to prevent amphibious assaults, which was considered the most likely invasion route that the Allies would take. Notice it was Pas-de-Calais and not Normandy. In September 1944, the division was defending the banks of the Scheldt River near Antwerp when it was attacked by Poles serving against Poles of the Polish Legion serving under Sir General Guy Simonds. After suffering heavy losses when the Allied forces made its way back into the Netherlands, the 712th reformed and sent to the Eastern Front. With the Red Army being supplied by the increasing arsenal of weapons and vehicles, the division was unable to match it into Poland, and was decimated across the river in Oder in January of 1945. Most of the combat units were absorbed by units such as the Panzer Division Kornmark and 45th and the 65th Infantry Divisions were quickly pushed back by Soviet forces. In March, the division was once again reformed. With no reserves, the Wehrmacht could only supply the 712th with survivors of the division already destroyed by Allied forces. The division was crushed in the Halbam Parka by the following month. In March, the division was once again reformed in part of the 9th Army, the 11th SS Corps, together as part of Army Group Vistula. In mid-April, the division took part in the opening stations of the battle. The Zielau Heights, the German army was able to hold the Soviets for only about 3 days after being forced to retreat to the pocket to the towns of Frankfurt and Kostan along with Spreadwell. During Soviet advances through the Frustelt, the 712th was once again surrounded and under fire from forward position and now even behind. The 33rd Panzergrenadier Division was moved to Friedrichs to support the 712th, encircled by the Soviets. The 9th Army attempted to break through, which was also encircled out on the 24th of April for the villages of Hambau. On the morning of the 26th of April, the 712th, the 21st Panzer Division launched an attack between the 1st Belarusian fronts and the 30 Guards Tank Army. In the final burst, the 712th had been reduced to its 332nd, 345th, and the 764th Grenadier regiments. It is not known what happened to the survivors, but we can take estimated guesses. Everything up to this point is your imagination. That's it for the 712th. Let's move on. Next we have the 699th Infantry Regiment of the 342nd Infantry Division. The division was formed on the 19th of November 1940 in Military District 12, with its home station at Laschstadt. A third of its original strength was transferred from the 72nd Infantry Division, a third from the 79th, which meant the divisional strength was around 2/3. And then it was getting even more units from Rhineland, Austria, and other places. On 14th of September 1941, the division was ordered to deploy in Belgrade, in the territory of the military commander in Belgrade, which came to control under 65th Corps. As a result of repeated requests for reinforcements from Wehrmacht Commander Southeast List, Field Marshal General Wilhelm List, due to a growing insurgency in the southern parts of the partitioned Kingdom of Yugoslavia, the division began to move from France to Yugoslavia on the 20th September 1941. It was quickly committed to counterinsurgency operations in northwestern part of German-occupied territory of Serbia. Between 24th September and 9th of October, and conducted in its first operations, in which it was aimed at clearing the Kalga regions, which consisted of 600 square kilometers west of the town of Slabak and Dominik and Sava rivers. It was reinforced by a battalion from the 718th Infantry Division and the police company to just get rid of the partisans, apparently. The Germans estimated the number of partisans in the areas between 2,000 to 10,000. The division rounded up large numbers of males, ages between 14 and 70 in the towns and villages, razed many houses, and exceeded the mandated reprisal ratios of the number of prisoners per German soldier killed or wounded, shooting 830 of the 8,400 prisoners, which took between 21 to 30 of September, the great majority of which were unarmed civilians. However, the division was decisively engaged against the main insurgent forces, in which it were in the Cheer Mountains. This was closely followed by more operations, one in the Cheer Mountains between 10th to 15th of October, one against Brown on the 19th and 20th of October. The operation targeted 2,500 well-armed Chechniks and 4,000 poorly armed partisans, and the division just burned many villages and shot about 3,000 people despite capturing a few weapons and taking a few prisoners. They destroyed insurgent strongholds in the mountains, but despite completing their encirclements of the area, most of the targeted insurgents escaped to the west. The Kurpak operation was essentially treated as a revenge for two companies of the 704th Infantry Division has been overrun in a few weeks earlier, but failed against to decisively engage the insurgents. During the period from the 10th to 19th October, the 342nd suffered 6 men killed with another 24 wounded, but reported it was net 546 insurgents and executed a number of 1,000 were killed. On the 12th to 13th of October, soldiers of the 342nd Division took all the Jewish men of the mostly Austrian refugees who had been imprisoned in the Slovak concentration camp, as well as 1,600 Roma and other Serbs, to another concentration camp. They then executed them all in the Farmers' Field, which played a key role in Operation Utik and Operation Melasnok. I honestly do not know how they... Which, by the way, these two operations were targeted the Yugoslav partisans and Chechniks representatively. I honestly do not know what killing... How killing all the Jewish members... all the Jewish men from a concentration camp, along with 160 Roma and Serbs, helps a military operation against partisans. I honestly don't understand. Unless it's reprisals, like, literally that's that. During its service in Yugoslavia, the division was known as ruthless and ferocity, brutality against insurgents and populace alike. In February 1942, it was sent to Army Group Center in the Eastern Front, where it fought the battles of Rzhev and retreat after the Battle of Kursk. It was withdrawn briefly in April 1944 to refit in East Prussia, but returned to the front in May and distinguished itself twice against the Russians that summer. It fought at Kowal during the withdrawal across East Prussia and the Bielsa bridgehead on the Vistula. When the Russians broke through out of the bridgehead in January 1945, the division was completely destroyed during the Vistula-Oder offensive, but fought as a camp group until it was recircled in the Kabul pocket during the Battle of Berlin. Members of the division managed to escape westwards to surrender to the U.S. Army near the Baltic Sea. And that is it for the 699th Infantry Regiment of the 342nd Infantry Division. Once again, a lot of war crimes for this one. But that's it, let's move on to the next one. Next, we have the 275th Infantry Regiment of the 275th Infantry Division. The 275th Infantry Division was formed in late 1943 in France, from remnants of the 222nd Infantry Division. Earlier in the Normandy landings, which occurred on June 6, 1944, the 2 infantry battalions, the Fusilier Battalion, and 1 artillery battalion and an engineer company was sent to the Normandy area. The rest of the division was followed in mid-July. The 275th suffered heavy losses in the Falstad pocket and was transferred to Aachen for refitting, where here it was reinforced with the Luftwaffe Fortress Battalion 7 and 10. The 270 was transferred to Dothan, Hochsburg area, which was suffered even severe losses and was almost disbanded. Actually, no, it was disbanded. The remnants formed the 344th Infantry Division. The 275th Infantry Division was reformed again in January of 1945 near Pfalzberg and was transferred to the Eastern Front, which was destroyed in the Pfalzberg pocket in 1945 in Berlin. That is the very short history of 275th Infantry Division. Nothing much is known about its military active role in Berlin. Next, we have the 27th Parachute Regiment of the 9th Parachute Division. Once again, I'm not going to be doing this because I already did the 25th Parachute Regiment of the 9th Parachute Division, so go see that. Next, we have the 2nd SG3. This was a close combat air support group during World War II. It was formed on October 18th, 1943, in SS from STG3. A special detachment was formed in 13th of June 1944 to the 13th of August 1944, which was renamed as Detachment Kolny. The detachment was built around elements of SG3, SG5, JG5, 54, and NAGR1. Literally, that's all of the information we know about SG3. We don't know anything else, so, and Enlisted doesn't really tell you anything else, so let's just go on. Next, we have the 11th Pioneer Battalion of the 11th Panzergrenadier Division. Once again, all you have to do is look at the 503rd Panzergrenadier Battalion of the 11th Panzergrenadier Division, and that with the 25th Parachute Regiment of the 9th Parachute Division. Both of them will be in Axis Berlin non-premiums. Next, we have the 56th Infantry Regiment of the 5th Light Infantry Division. C, the 5th Pioneer Battalion of the 5th Light Infantry Division. Next, we have the 1st group of JG301 of Jagdgeschwader 301. During October of 1943, first group of 301 was from Nienburg. Second group was formed at Alpen from elements of the second JG300, well as contingents of fighters. JG3, the second group, had to share aircraft and belonged to JG11. In November of 1943, the unit was designated as second group of JG301, 302, and was initially raised in October at Belset, but became third group of JG300 during the same month. Third group of JG301 was reinforced and reformed at Belset in November 1943, but was disbanded in May of 1944. In November of 1944, 30th Jaeger Division, which 301 was part of, switched to day fighting as part of Defense of the Reich, or to be exact, the Air Defense of the Reich. Occasionally, night sorties were flown, and on 24th to 25th of March 1944, JG301, 3rd Group, and 1st Group engaged RAF Bomber Command formations. Elements of the JG301 then joined defenses around the vital oil installations in Pesti, Romania. On the 24th of April, JG301 attacked elements of the U.S. Air Force bomber wing in near Munich, downing 4 B-17s, 8 P-51s from the escort. 355th Air Group immediately engaged 301 in running battle. 301 and lost 6 BF-109 G6s shot down, while 3 were killed, 3 were wounded. 480 bombers of the American Air Force attacked closely Pesti airfields again, and on the 31st of May in 1944, 3rd Group of JG-77, JG-53, and JG-301 attacked the raid. The Luftwaffe lost 12 planes, of which JG301 lost 4. German aircraft fighters claimed 10 heavies and 4 escorts in return. On the 6th of June 1944, 570 bombers with fighter escorts hit Belgrade, Marshalling Yard, and the Channel installations, which, the Turin Savile Channel installations, while the B-24 attacked Pestilite refineries and marshalling yards of Brasov. Basically, what the Americans were doing was dividing JG-301's attention. In return, JG-301 countered the raids, and on the 23rd of June, the B-17s and B-24s attacked again the Romanian airfields, this time en masse. Aircrafts of JG-301 fought with Mustangs over Budapest. The American Air Force would then attack Budapest again on the 28th of July with 228 bombers. The response was 280 fighters, the 3rd group of JG-77, 1st group of JG-53, and 4th group, 2nd group of JG-301, which claimed 9 Bf-24s and 3 P-51s Mustangs. The U.S. Air Force lost only 3 B-24s, and after that point, yeah, the JG-301 started to lose extremely heavy casualties. That said, during the entire process, in one day, the JG-301 has claimed 58 bombers shot down, and after that point, JG-301 would suffer even extremely heavy losses. In early March of 1945, JG-301 became the first group to receive the Focke-Wulf TA-152, with an operational brief to cover up for the German airfields in the area. TA-152 was ordered to fly sorties to cover German airfields in the area, this was flown from 8th February. On the 18th of February, the group moved to Spaldau near Berlin, and on the 21st of November, intercepted U.S. bombers. The first victim of the TA-152 were Soviet Yaks. During Yak-9s during the final invasion of the Battle of Berlin on the 30th of April 1945. Encountering fighters on several occasions, the squadrons lost only 2 pilots, but shot down at least 9. By April, JG-301 was based around Haugau, Basel, and Lüttwitz. Third group of JG-301 was also beginning to be equipped with Focke-Wulf TA-152s, but until the end of the war, the equipment was not fully completed. That is all for JG-301's military record. Nothing much is known after war or what happened after the war, but that's it. Next, we have the 58th Panzergrenadier Division of the 33rd Panzergrenadier Grenadier Division. All you have to do is see the 57th Grenadier Division or Grenadier Regiment of the 33rd Grenadier Division. The 33rd is also known as the Charlemagne. 985th Grenadier Regiment of the 275th Infantry Division. Just see the 275th Infantry Regiment of the 275th Infantry Division. And yeah, let's move on to the next one. Next, we have the 8th Panzer Battalion of the 25th Panzer Grenadier Division. The 25th Panzer Grenadier Division was originally formed as an infantry unit, designated as the 25th Infantry Division and made of Swabian and Bavarian personnel. It participated in the Polish campaign and the Battle of France. In late 1940, it was recognized as the 25th Motorized Infantry Division and took part in Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union. In June of 1941, it was attached to Army Group Center and fought in the Soviet Union for 2 years before being re-recognized as the 25th Panzer Grenadier Division, which occurred on June in 1943. After having another year of heavy fighting, the division was almost completely destroyed near Minsk during the Soviet Operation Bagration in summer of 1944. The survivors was reorganized as the training camp in modern-day Poland as the 107th Panzer Brigade. In September of 1944, the 107th Panzer Brigade participated in Operation Martin Garden as part of 86th Corps of the 1st Parachute Army. The bridge has been rerouted from Aachen to Holland and was almost immediately into combat at Nijmegen against the American 101st Airborne and the British 15th and 19th the King's Royal Hussars of the 11th Armored Division. In November 1944, the brigade was upgraded back to divisional status at Balmung Training Camp and renumbered back to the 25th Panzer Grenadier Division. The new unit moved to France in the area of Germany and Luxembourg, French border at the Stockton les Brans, where it fought a delaying action against the US Third Army until December. It was then moved to Brecht, in which it fought at the Maginot Line at Fort Orgenon, Simion, and Orgeau-Sigdicht, under the command of the 13th SS Corps. After the US 7th Army offensive operations were halted in December as a result of the German Ardennes offensive, the 25th pulled out of the line and was reorganized near Schwarzburg. It took part in Operation Northwind, along with the 21st Panzer Division. Together, these divisions were used to exploit the penetration made earlier by the entire 13th SS Panzer Corps to the west, or the 89th or the 90th Corps to the east, with the intention of cutting the US 7th Army off from the 1st French Army. And then it was sent back to the Eastern Front to defend against the Soviet attack on the Oder near Berlin. Most of the survivors managed to escape to the west and surrender to the Americans or the British. And that's it for the 8th Panzer Battalion of the 25th Panzergrenadier Division. Next we have the 90th Panzergrenadier Regiment of the 20th Grenadier Division. All you have to do is see the 20th Artillery Regiment of the 20th Panzergrenadier Division. That said, that is going to end Axis Berlin non-premiums, the squad history at least. So, with all of that, have a great day guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Now before you leave, I would like to thank you very much for watching this video. I would be honored if you could like and subscribe to the channel. Remember, more videos are coming out, so it is a good idea to click on that notification button. Anyways, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.